good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I hope that you are all well. Thank you all so much for being patient with me. I just now actually got my voice back from having a very nasty sinus infection, so if my voice still sounds a little off, give me a few days, I should be back to 100%. Special announcement, I will no longer be making announcements here at the beginning of every single video. If you are a subscriber and supporter, please make sure that you go down and set your notification bells set to all. That way you get alerts every time I make a community post from now on. And if you are yet not a subscriber, I would appreciate a subscribe and make sure that you have your notification bell set to on. From now on, all of my special announcements will be made over on the main channel, Back to Ashes, under Community. That's where I put all of the posts and announcements out to the majority of the crowd and also to the channel members. The only announcements I'll be making within these videos from here forward are going to be any sort of upload schedule change. That way everyone can hear when those upload days will be. Don't forget, down below, if you like what you are enjoying, you can buy me a coffee. That link is found in the description box. As well, if you'd like to become a member of Back to Ashes, it is only $1.99 a month. That information could also be found in the description below. Now, with all of that being said, it is time to go back to ashes, for when we arise from the ashes, we are a bigger, brighter, stronger, and happier person in the morning. Sit back, relax, kick back, grab a snack, or tuck in to get warm, and enjoy these don't drive these haunted roads alone at night if you dare. Disclaimer at the end of this introduction. There will be an ad, and then I'll read the first story. There'll be an ad, and from then on out, there'll be no more ads within the video. The United States is full of haunted and cursed roads with intriguing backstories. While many of the tales of tragedies and disasterly deeds are based on actual events, others have been invented by thrill-seeking teenagers from a time when young people were much more imaginative than they are today. The following list is by no means comprehensive, and these mystery roads in which the haunting falls solely within the haunted bridge category are omitted to include them would be prohibitive. Annie's Road, Totowa, New Jersey. According to the legend, some years ago, a young woman was killed in a motor vehicle accident on Riverview Road, near the gates of Laurel Grove Cemetery. Ever since, the lady spirit, now known as Annie, is occasionally seen on the side of the highway near the spot where she died. And if anyone attempts to follow her, she, much like Chicago's Resurrection Mary, strolls into the cemetery and disappears. This story figured prominently in the February 1992 Hail Mary murder, wherein 17-year-old Robert Solomon Jr. was strangled to death by James Wenger, also 17, in a plot hatched by Wenger and 3 other teens. Boy Scout Lane, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. There's more than one version of the story about this road off West River Drive, but the most important version has it that back in the 1950s, a group of Boy Scouts hiked to this heavily wooded spot for a campout. At some point in the night, while the boys were sleeping contentedly in their tents beneath the trees, their troop leader, for reasons unknown, stealthily entered their tents and killed them all, one by one. Some traveling this dead-end stretch of road during the night claim the murdered boys still haunt the area and appear at random, often covered in blood from their wounds. The location where the mass murder allegedly occurred is now privately owned and trespassing is discouraged. Clinton Road, West Milford, New Jersey. On this lonely, roughly 10-mile highway beginning at Route 23 near Newfoundland, New Jersey, there are reports of phantom headlights that appear out of nowhere and closely follow drivers. Additionally, at a bridge near Dead Man's Curve, people say if one tosses a coin into the water, the pitiful spirit of a drowned boy will toss it back. However, the scariest location is the spot where an old house known as Cross Castle once stood. According to local tales, those who trespass may have been chased by Satanists, modern-day druids, and others who utilize the site for their dark and mysterious rituals. Cosart Road, Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania. Those who have seen the 2004 movie The Village are at least peripherally familiar with the area around Cosart Road, aka the Devil's Road. It was because of the weird legends associated with the area that M. Night Shyamalan chose it as the setting for his film about a reclusive group of people who are afraid to leave the confinement of their settlement because of those we don't speak of, i.e., the dangerous creatures in the forest. A little more than 2 miles in length, the road is undeniably spooky, particularly at night, and in places, the crooked trees on either side seem to be bending away from the narrow, winding byway. According to legend, the ruins of an old abandoned mansion built in the nearby woods by the DuPont family were later taken over by a satanic cult. Known for years as the Cult House, those who attempt to locate the place are chased by something demonic. Devil Worshipper Road, Shibuda and Waynesboro, Mississippi. The narrow Waynesboro-Shibuda Road winds its way through 18 miles of dense forest and farmland. And there are dark spots where the sun shines, only in winter, after all the deciduous trees have lost their foliage. At night, lone drivers can easily become spooked, particularly when a horned, satyr-like creature, brandishing a pitchfork, suddenly appears in their highways. Legend has it that many years ago, a local farmer made a pact with the devil, and when he died, Satan turned him into a 7-foot, cloven-hooved demon, destined to haunt the location where he practiced his worship of the Horned One until Judgment Day. Over the years, the story has attracted practitioners of the dark arts who gather in the woods just off the road and attempt to raise Old Scratch himself. People have reported seeing strange lights in the forest and finding strange burned areas, pentagrams, and other evidence of ritualistic activity. There also have been reports of vehicles shaking and stalling for no apparent reason, and something leaving mysterious handprints on windows. Many claim the entire 18-mile stretch of highway is haunted. Others, however, insist the Goat Man is seen only on the section of highway north of Clear Creek Baptist Church because the devil cannot pass a holy structure. The Devil's Highway, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. Originally designated Route 666, the 193-mile road beginning in Gallup, New Mexico, was considered unlucky from the beginning because it bore the number of the beast. Some claim there were many unexplained accidents along the God-forsaken stretch, and lone drivers sometimes reported encountering faceless hitchhikers, skinwalkers, hellbounds, and other entities of the supernatural realm. Finally, in 2003, the highway was redesignated US 491, but the name change didn't exorcise the alleged demonic activity, for there are still reports of strange things along the lonely road. And those who find themselves driving the former Route 666 at night risk being forced off the highway by a phantom black car. The Devil's Promenade, near Hornet, Missouri. Every evening, something very odd happens along the strip of East 50 Road, aka Spooklight Road, south of Hornet. The Spook Light, as it is called, is a basketball-sized sphere seen through the trees long after the sun has completely set. It is usually green, but has been known to shift in color and size, and nobody knows what causes it. There have been spook light sightings in the area since the 19th century, and according to legend, the mysterious luminescence is the spirit of two lovers searching for each other. Extraterrestrial Highway, Nevada. State Route 375 begins approximately 65 miles north of Las Vegas at Crystal Springs and runs 98 miles northwest to Warm Springs. Just south of 375 is Homey Airport or Groom Lake, better known as Area 51. And the road passes through Rachel, home of the Little Alley Inn, a motel, restaurant, and souvenir shop that capitalizes on the region's UFO sightings. Those traveling Route 375 at night often witness mysterious lights and other aerial phenomena. Ghost Road, Brooklet, Georgia. Railroad Bed Road, which, as its name suggests, is the site of a former railroad. It is haunted by a ghost light, said to be the specter of a singleman who was decapitated when he was hit by a train. The man's body was recovered, but for some reason, his head was never found, and to this day, his spirit has walked the location where it happened in search of his missing head. Robertson Road, a narrow, unpaved thoroughfare connected Railroad Bed Road with Highway 80, is haunted by a digging ghost, the apparition of a man with a spade, diligently digging for something on the side of the road. Some say he is digging his own grave, while others claim he is digging up his head, possibly that of the decapitated signalman. Railroad Bed Road has such a sinister reputation, it is featured in a documentary. Haynesville Road, Aroostook County, Maine. This particular stretch of road, designated Route 2A, is so notorious there's a song about it. A Tombstone Every Mile, released in 1965 by truck driver turned singer Dan Curlis. In addition to an inordinate number of accidents, the highway is the domain of a vanishing hitchhiker who appears suddenly in the headlights of lone travelers or walks along the side of the road waiting for someone to give her a ride. Some say she is the wraith of a young woman involved in a crash one frigid night who froze to death before help arrived. A second apparition encountered on a Haynesville road is that of a young girl hit and killed by a semi-truck. While there is no record of the lady who died of hypothermia, two 10-year-old Haynesville girls, Janet Marine Roos and Melody Shorey, were killed when they were hit by a truck on August 22, 1967. I-4 Dead Zone, Sanford, Florida. A section of Interstate 4 near Lake Monroe was constructed over a location known as the Field of the Dead, where victims of an 1887 yellow fever outbreak were buried. Truckers and others who frequently drive through the area have reported strange occurrences, including phantom voices coming over radios and cell phones inexplicably going dead. Some have even told of catching fleeting glimpses of human shapes on the side of the highway, which has a higher than average accident rate. Jack Cole Road, Blount County, Alabama. According to legend, for well over 100 years, there have been an unusually high number of deaths associated with this dark, unpaved, dead-end road in the town of Hayden, just north of Birmingham. Although some of these individuals, such as those who succumbed to cholera around 1900, did not actually die on the road itself. They were apparently transported to their final resting places along this route that cuts through thick woods. Also, at some point, hunters came across an old cabin wherein they discovered the mummified remains of a woman, whom some believed was a witch responsible for many of the strange events in the area. Then, in the 1960s, the body of a local farmer, the victim of an axe-wielding fiend, was found at the end of Jack Cole Road. Sometime later, a photographer taking pictures in the region reported seeing strange things in the woods adjacent to the thoroughfare, and shortly thereafter, he was found dead on or near Jack Cole Road. But not all the strange things associated with the location occurred in the distant past. In 2015, the home of Lisa Weaver, a 52-year-old disabled woman who lived on Jack Cole Road, caught fire, and when firemen arrived, they discovered the bodies of her 3 dogs in the rubble. But Miss Weaver's corpse was nowhere to be found. The lady had spoken with her son, Michael Weaver, minutes before the fire, so there's no doubt she was home when the conflagration started. 8 years later, she is still listed as a missing person. Many people traveling the road at night have reported seeing mysterious lights, and human shapes darting about the woods. Presumably, these phantoms are not of this world, and, as such, cannot really harm anyone. But the same isn't true of the half-Bigfoot, half-wolf creature that has terrorized some who find themselves on Jack Cole Road on nights of the full moon. 2 men who allegedly encountered the beast late one moonlit night returned the following day and discovered clawed, 5-toed tracks they estimated to be at least 18 inches in length. Jeremy Swamp Road, Southbury, Connecticut. There's a local tale that many years of inbreeding produced a race of humanoids with enormous heads atop puny bodies, commonly known as Melon Heads. These strange beings inhabit caves and tunnels in wooded areas and live off nuts, berries, and small animals, including pets. However, should the opportunity arise, they aren't averse to feasting on a tasty teenager or 2. Adults whose cars stall at night on Jeremy Swamp Road have little to worry about, but young people are in danger of being captured, killed, and consumed by Melon Heads. For the nocturnal creatures seem to have an affinity for young, sweet meat. Unfortunately, those teens who think they're safe by avoiding that specific road at night are deluding themselves. For Zion Hill Road on Milford Sawmill City Road in Shelton, Velvet Street at Trumbull, and various locations in Easton, Fairfield, Monroe, New Haven, Oxford, Stratfield, and Seymour have their own colonies of Melon Heads. John's Bayou Road, Vancleave, Mississippi. Several motor vehicle accidents have occurred in the same swampy location on this road, with most survivors reporting a similar series of events. Drivers stop upon seeing what appears to be a great deal of blood on the road. After investigating the unusual sight and returning to their cars, headlights suddenly appear out of nowhere, and a dark-colored van crashes into their stationary vehicles before disappearing in the darkness. Rumor has it that some years ago, a newly licensed teenager who came home with the front of his car bashed in swore his vehicle was hit by the dark van on John's Bayou Road, but no one believed him. Kelly Road, Ohioville, Pennsylvania. It is said that when animals scamper across the section of Kelly Road known as Mystery Mile, they become deranged. Additionally, the ghost of a pale boy in ragged clothing haunts the area, and people who have seen his apparition say the lad is surrounded by a bright, white aurora-like light. Mona Lisa Drive, New Orleans, Louisiana. Around the turn of the 20th century, a rich philanthropist donated money to establish a portion of what is now known as City Park in New Orleans, on condition that it include a statue of his beloved daughter, Mona, who had recently died. Unfortunately, The statue, which was reportedly located near Poppy Seed's fountain, was repeatedly vandalized by wild teenagers and eventually removed. Ever since, people walking or driving along what some call Mona Lisa Drive at night have occasionally seen and heard the moaning white wraith of the lovely Mona. Those foolish enough to stop their cars to await her appearance have found scratches on their vehicles the following day. In another version of the story, the daughter's name was Lisa, and because her ghost supposedly moaned, she came to be known as Moaning Lisa, which through the years became Mona Lisa. Ortega Ridge Road, Montecito, California. Those driving this section of road have reported seeing 3 nuns, aka Las Tres Hermanas, at the side of the highway. According to the legend, the nuns were attacked and killed by bandits many years ago. Though why robbers would target nuns, who had taken vows of poverty and wouldn't have been carrying anything of value, no one knows, still to this day. Oweza Street, Appleton, Wisconsin. People driving or walking along the section of North Oweza Street adjacent to Riverside Cemetery after dark sometimes encounter the apparition of mourners in old-fashioned attire. Whether the phantoms in black are connected to the legend of Kate Blood, whose grave has become a favorite tourist attraction, particularly with teenagers, is unknown. Because of her name and the fact her burial plot is situated a distance from others in the sprawling, heavily wooded cemetery, there are rumors the lady was either a malevolent witch or mad axe murderess. In fact, she was neither, just a young wife and mother who died of tuberculosis at the tender age of 23. Prospectors Road, Garden Valley, California. During the California Gold Rush, when thousands of weary men dug day and night in hopes of striking it rich, those who bragged about their finds were in danger of being murdered by unscrupulous miners. The phantom of one such victim is said to appear from the bushes on this narrow road, exclaiming in a harsh whisper, "Get off my claim." Sand Hill Road, Las Vegas, Nevada. The whispers and moans of a couple who died in an underground tunnel are occasionally heard on South Sand Hill Road near its intersection with East Olive Street. Additionally, there have been reports of the specter of an old woman whose reputation has been known to chase people off the road. Seven Sisters Road, Nebraska City, Nebraska. Officially known as L Road, the local name for this 2-lane highway, approximately 5 miles south of Nebraska City, is Seven Sisters Road. Legend has it that in the early 1900s, a man who lived on a nearby farm with his parents and 7 sisters got into an argument with other family members, and when the parents went visiting that evening, he somehow enticed or forced his sisters outside, one by one, and summarily hanged them from trees located atop several hills. Although the trees are gone and some of the hills have been leveled, on moonlit nights, people hear what sounds like the blood-curdling cries of women in distress. Cars inexplicably stall on the road, and the ringing of phantom bells emanate from an old family graveyard. Those who have researched this legend believe the phenomena predates the story, which was likely fabricated to explain the strange activity. Shades of Death Road, Alamuchi Township, New Jersey. Yes, the road sign actually reads Shades of Death, which is creepy enough, but what makes this road even more chilling by night aren't the reports of thick fog and hangings that allegedly took place in the area, but rather the strange white light that appears just off the road at a place called Lenape Lane. It is said if the lights turn red, the person watching it will die within the year. Spook Road, Brandon, South Dakota. In the spring and summer, this approximately 3-mile stretch of 264th Street, containing 5 bridges, all of which cross Beaver Creek, can be inviting. But on dark nights, after the trees have lost their leaves, it can be terrifying, particularly for those looking for ghosts. While no one is certain who or what haunts the location, some claim one crosses 5 bridges when driving east from Splintock Boulevard, or Route 11. But on the way back, there are only 4. It is on the way back that thrill seekers sometimes see the figure of a hanging man, either dangling from a tree to the side of the highway or on the road itself. Those who claim to have seen the apparition say the face is bloated, the eyes bulging, and the tongue is hanging out. One paranormal investigator who checked out Spook Road remarked, "Even though there is no documented history to support any of the claims of the road, it is possible that something is drawn to the area because people want it to be haunted. Remember that saying, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it." Stagecoach Road, Marshall, Texas. For many years, stagecoaches rumbled along the dirt road thoroughfare, transporting passengers and goods to and from Shreveport, Louisiana, and Marshall, Texas, their iron-rimmed wheels cutting deeper into the clay with each trip. Today, the banks on either side are 10 foot high in some places, and the overhead trees totally block the light. It is said that at one time, a voodoo queen chased out of New Orleans took up residence in Marshall, where she sold potions and lucky gris-gris to locals and generally lived peacefully until her body was found on the side of Stagecoach Road. Even though it's been well over 100 years since the witch woman's murder, people say that when the moon is full, her malevolent specter wanders the spooky old road, muttering curses against the town, and shaking shrunken heads at anyone she meets. A historical plaque marking Stagecoach Road is located at Pine Bluffs Baptist Church, approximately 2.5 miles south of the road itself. Bloody Bride Bridge and Boy Scout Lane, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. This Highway 66 bridge is known as Bloody Bride Bridge because, according to local legend, a bride was killed in an accident here on the way to her wedding, and she continues to haunt drivers passing by at night. Nearby Boy Scout Lane is another haunted spot in Stevens Point because a troop of Boy Scouts allegedly disappeared here. Thankfully, there's no proof that this happened, but the isolated dead-end road does make for an eerie setting. Oasis Street, Appleton, Wisconsin. Riverside Cemetery, located on North Oasis Street in Appleton, is known for paranormal experiences. Some claim to have seen ghosts of past mourners dressed in old-fashioned clothing here. In the cemetery, visitors will find the tombstone of Kate Blood, another supposedly haunted spot, although many of the stories about her life and death are unfounded. Some say she was a witch who killed her husband and children with an axe. Or maybe it was Kate who was murdered by her husband. Historians, however, have a completely different explanation altogether. She probably died of tuberculosis. Route 66, Villa Ridge, Missouri. A tri-country truck stop located off historic Route 66 in Villa Ridge has been abandoned for years, but ghost hunters continue to visit in hopes of experiencing the paranormal. According to Commercial Truck Trader, visiting mediums have suggested the truck stop is a portal to the other side of eternity, where souls re-enter our world and attach their spirits to truckers, whom they might possess in order to drive themselves home. Sand Hill Road, Las Vegas, Nevada. The tunnels underneath Sand Hill Road in Las Vegas are supposedly haunted, with reports of eerie noises. Although there isn't a ton of evidence to back up these claims, it's still worth a visit to find out yourself, if you dare. Route 44, Rehoboth, Massachusetts. Some have called the Massachusetts section of Route 44 the most haunted road in the country. Local lore says the highway is home to a 6-foot-tall phantom hitchhiker who wears a red flannel shirt and work boots. The detailed description is important because it supposedly matches that of a victim who died on the same stretch of road some years ago. Drivers on Route 44 have reported all sorts of interactions with the apparition. Some have picked him up off the side of the road. Others have seen him appear in the rearview mirror, sitting in the back seat of the car, while another saw him pressed against the car window as he drove. Almost all the stories, however, end in the same way. The ghost suddenly disappears, while his loud maniacal laughter is left lingering in the air. Shades of Death Road, Warren County, New Jersey. No, Shades of Death Road is not a nickname. It's the official name of a road in Warren County. How it came to be bestowed with the ominous title is up for debate. Some say it originated from the area's early inhabitants, a group of anti-establishment, murderous squatters. Another, likely more plausible, story cites a malaria outbreak in the 1850s as inspiration for the name. One final account claims Shades of Death came about after a spree of grisly murders occurred along the road in the 1920s. According to this telling, the street was originally called the Shades in a nod to the low-hanging trees covering the road. Of death was added over time as more murders occurred. Regardless of its origins, Shades of Death Road is a decidedly eerie drive. The haunted road runs alongside the woods of Jenny Jump State Forest, as well as the forebodingly named Ghost Lake, which is known to surround the area in a cloud of fog. Tower Hill Road, Cumberland, Rhode Island. Connecticut isn't the only New England state with its own forest-dwelling folkloric creature. The narrow, winding, and heavily wooded Tower Hill Road in northern Rhode Island is purported to be the home of a Bigfoot-like being the locals referred to as man-monkey. For several decades, residents have claimed seeing the creature amid the trees while making their way along the route. Not a Bigfoot believer? Tower Hill Road has been the site of plenty of other bone-chilling reports, including paranormal activity, unexplained lights, child ghost appearances, and even zombie sightings. Another belief is the road is haunted by Native Americans killed in the 1600s. Travelers have claimed hearing their drums and seeing their ghosts charging over one of the hills along the haunted road. Archer Avenue. Chicago is heir to plenty of spine-tingling ghost stories, but none quite as chilling as Archer Avenue. This road winds through forests and lakes, stretching between the infamous Resurrection Cemetery and St. James at Sag Bridge Catholic Church. Reports of ghostly monks, spooky babies, and phantom horse riders haunt this stretch of asphalt. Archer Avenue's most well-known story is the tale of Resurrection Mary, one of Chicago's famous vanishing hitchhikers. According to legend, Mary was on her way home from O. Henry Ballroom when she was hit and killed by a speeding car. Today, drivers report seeing a girl in a white dress standing along Archer Avenue. Occasionally, travelers will pick her up, but she disappears from the car once it reaches Resurrection Cemetery. Cruise your commercial vehicle down Archer Avenue, or perhaps stop by O. Henry Ballroom, and maybe you will find Mary too. Highway 299. If you're driving through Northern California, you'll want to avoid making any truck stops along Highway 299. This long and desolate route passes through the state from east to west and is home to several mysterious ghost stories. The most haunted stretch lies between Old Shasta City and Whiskeytown Lake. Old Shasta City, once a bustling gold rush destination, is now an abandoned ghost town. Ruins of the city's old bakery, blacksmith, Mason's Lodge, and courthouse still stand. In the middle of the courthouse is the old jail, allegedly filled with the spirits of criminals that were tried and hanged there. Travel further up the road, and you'll find Whiskey Town, a popular recreational destination for lakeside activities. What most people don't know is there's an abandoned town lurking in the depths. The creation of Whiskey Town Dam decades ago caused the city to flood and all living inhabitants to flee. Some say there are spirits who refuse to leave and still haunt that lake today. Haunted intersection in Texas. The bus stalled as it crossed the railroad tracks, or so the story goes. The driver, ferrying kids home from school sometime in the 1930s or 40s, was near the intersection of Villamane and Shane Roads, south of San Antonio, Texas, when the train whistle screamed. Everyone tried to get out, but not everyone did, and unfortunately, the bus was hit. Some folks say several students were killed. Actually, there's no evidence that an incident happened at all. But even today, drivers who leave their cars parked near the site sometimes return to find them covered with small, ghostly handprints. Evil clowns on the road. Movie makers deny that a rash of evil clown sightings was a publicity stunt for the release of the 2017 film It, based on a horror novel by Stephen King. That hasn't stopped reports of scary clown attacks and sightings from pouring in around the U.S. Are they humans in creepy costumes or malevolent manifestations of something supernatural? Keep your wits about you. The ghastly ghouls have been spotted on urban streets and country roads, where they whisper and beckon to children. Whatever these clowns are, they aren't funny. For more on these devious clowns, stream the Beach Beast and Clown Motel episodes of Unexplained Caught on Camera Season 2, now on Discovery Plus. Route 66. You might not expect Route 66, America's mother road, to be menacing. You'd be wrong. Begun in 1926, it is one of the first highways in the U.S. highway system, running from Chicago to the Pacific Ocean. Over the years, it seemed to attract the undead, from spooky hitchhikers waving pale thumbs to paranormal happenings in roadside hotels. It encompasses some 100 frightening spots in all, including the Hotel Monte Vista in Flagstaff, Arizona, where a phantom bellboy knocks on guests' doors at night, to the mysterious spook light, an unexplained orb that appears in the dark sky over Quapaw, Oklahoma, to a theater in Albuquerque, New Mexico, plagued by a mysterious little boy who died there in a 1951 boiler explosion. You can stream the Descent into Darkness episode on Season 1 of Ghost Hunters Screaming Room to join the crew as they travel down Route 66 in search of the most haunted stops. Dark tunnels. Could dark tunnels be passageways for dark spirits? In Hawk Point, Missouri, residents say a ghostly man haunts Satan's Tunnel, an old underpass draped with twisting vines and other vegetation. Amateur ghost hunters have parked outside another abandoned tunnel in Churchill, Tennessee, hoping to see the ghost of a madman said to pop in and out. Many found themselves stranded there when they tried to leave, unable to start their cars. When the engines finally crank, they see the madman's terrifying figure in their rearview mirrors when they start to back up. Spooky streets and alleys. Do troubled souls stalk dark city streets and back alleys? Many Bostonians think so. In 1648, a Puritan judge convicted poor Margaret Jones to be hanged for witchcraft. Now she's said to wander Boston Neck, an area under Washington Street, along with other condemned unfortunates. In Savannah, Georgia, Abercorn Street seems to be a hotspot for the supernatural. Listen and watch for those who perish from violence, disease, and war as they roam through the darkness. Remote roads and dark forests. Bragg Road in Hardin County Park, Texas, is unpaved, like many other isolated roads around the country. A mysterious light that often appears has given it its nickname, Ghost Road. Does the light belong to a hunter who became lost in the woods and was never found, or a grief-stricken, long-dead groom searching for the killer of his equally long-dead bride? Some think it is just a reflection of light from a passing car, or some kind of glowing gas. Whatever it is, it's enough to give you the chills. And this, dear listeners, concludes this Don't Drive These Haunted Roads Alone If You Dare. If you are sleeping, I hope Slumberland is treating you kindly. If you're awake, I hope you have enjoyed this collection. Until next time, I'll read to you soon. Have yourself a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good night.